I'm going to break down why 204 Gemstar, which is myself, is the best Brawl Star you haven't seen. So let's open up with why I said the best Brawl Star player you haven't seen. As we know, everyone looks at total trophies, because that's what your ranking is. However, it doesn't take into factor how long someone's been playing, how many games they've played. It only shows the very basic level stats, wins, and what type of wins you have in certain ones, your experience level, and your trophies. So those top players could have played thousands of more games than me, but that doesn't mean they're better. That means they could have had better teammates, they could have had people helping them, they could have had it when it was easier to do, or maybe it could be their power levels. So the first thing we're going to look at, point number one, is power levels. When we look at the top players, most of them have at minimum power level 9 or above, and that's what allows them to go past the 500 threshold or even attain the 500 threshold. Myself, I can only count on one hand how many are power level 10, and that means max of their star power. The rest of them can vary from a minimum of power level 5 to 9, and I still attain 500 trophies, which means I'm using more so my skill and my IQ to get these levels up, as opposed to relying on brute force power. And the reason I get stalled a little bit higher up is because those one-on-one battles are a lot harder to win when you're outmatched by 5 power levels, and that's happened multiple times, and that's why it was difficult to get to that 500 minimum. Point number 2, total brawlers, which means the max amount of brawlers you can have. So 27 is currently how many brawlers they have put into the game. I have 25 out of 27. So if I get the minimum 500 like I've done with all these characters regardless of their power level, that's an additional 1,000 total trophies that goes to my account. Point number 3, solo searching. So I don't go on with a team, I go on by myself and I take the teammates the game gives me. Now if you look through my history as I'm showing here, there's very few times I have the same teammate, and when I do, it's for these 2 reasons. 1, the game is random, so I so happen to get the same teammate I had the game previously. Number 2, the odd time I party up, and what I mean by that is someone checks off that they want to play again, I go, hey, not a bad teammate, let's do it. But I don't play with anyone, I go on by myself, and for the majority of those wins, I was by myself playing. The reason this is an important point is because the top players in their clubs only play with the guys they trust, or girls. They play with the ones they know are going to get them all the win, because a lot of people don't want to waste their time on the game. If they're going in randomly, like I do, you're going to have losing streaks, winning streaks, and you can't afford wasted time, especially when trophy count gets more and more dicey where you can lose more than you gain. So for me going in random at my level, especially like an 800 PAM, then it just shows that I'm building my own trophy count with no teammates, which is way harder and more challenging to achieve than the top players do. Number 4, no club. This is important because you can always team up with high level players in your club and work out a strategy. So work out what characters you're going to use for what game type and on what map, because we all know characters have strengths and weaknesses that benefit certain game types and maps. And that's why they can work together, plan out a strategy, and some of them might even use Discord to talk while they're in a gameplay. Couple of final thoughts. You may be thinking, well, if those are the keys to success, why don't you do it? And I probably will in the future, because everyone just assumes by your total trophy count, that's the only way you can tell who's good and who's bad. But this video is to talk about how I'm the best Brawl Star player that no one knows about. And then you can reference back to this and go, that's the guy. So that's part 1. Point 2 on I have more trophies so I'm better. There's been people that said that and they had 200 more trophies but their experience level was like 10 above. We know that the higher level you get in your experience level, the more experience it requires to keep leveling up. More experience means more games played. So what I would love for this game to add in is how many games you've played, because those that have a higher experience level but barely any more trophies, they've played more games and you can assume that their success rate is lower, which leads me to my suggestions column. We should put total games so you can see what people's win rates are. Of course, the higher level you are, and if you only play with top players, you're going to have a nice win rate. However, it's a nice addition to have to show that who's been doing well together and who hasn't. It just adds to your trophy road column. The other idea would be break down why they got the star player. Maybe it's the amount of damage they did to a save. Maybe it's the amount of damage they did in a game. But show what they did compared to their teammates. So that way, if you don't believe they're carrying a team and this guy had like 10,000 damage and this guy had like 2,000, you can see what you've been working with that game and if your teammates really weren't that good or if you were the one that really wasn't that good. It gives a nice reality check to the team. And then the final thing you can add into is make it like Apex, where each individual character you have has their own stats to it. Now I know this is a game constantly in development and they're adding things, but these little things added to the stats will make it a little bit more competitive and legit for a leaderboard that people would probably buy in more and have more people playing. That's my final thoughts on why I'm the best Brawl Star player you've never heard of. Future content will be top 10 misplays or top plays and possibly strategy guides.